You may look like a bride, but you will never bring your family honor. In case you couldn't tell from the previous scene, today we're going to be talking about Mulan.
Mulan! Mulan? Nope.
But this is a Taiwanese channel, and Mulan was in China. Yes. But, as you may recall, Mulan was Han Chinese. And over 95% of the people in Taiwan are Han Chinese because they arrived from the Fujian in large numbers in the 17th century.
So, to put it bluntly, if you come to Taiwan and you ask someone, are you Taiwanese or Chinese, they will almost undoubtedly say that they are Taiwanese, although they will acknowledge that they are ethnically Chinese. But from a cultural and lifestyle point of view, they are not Chinese.
For all you fact checkers out there, the character Mulan was only made Han in the last century, but you get the point. So Mulan is relevant. She's relevant. Stick with me, guys. So was this Disney princess actually based off of a real person? Well, no. But like almost everything that we've talked about on this channel, she is based off of a fictional folktale from long ago. So as far as we can tell, the earliest version of Mulan is actually known as the Ballad of Mulan. It was actually a short poem, but it was featured in a 12th century anthology. But scholars think that this poem originated from a folk tale as early as the 4th century because it references the Northern Wei dynasty. Scholar and author of Multicultural China in the Early Middle Ages, San Ping Chen, tells us anything not contained in its original poem has been made up by much later authors and cannot be historically sustained.
Pretty high, huh?
In the original story, Mulan's father is still called into battle and she does volunteer in his place because he had no sons that could do so. And after 12 years of war, Mulan returns to her hometown along with other members of the army, where her comrades are shocked to find out that she is actually a girl.
So, I've been pretending to be my brother while he was in London for the past 2 weeks. Ow. So I could make the team and beat Cornwall. Ow.
The original story? It's just about getting the job done. The male hare wildly kicks its feet. The female hare has shifty eyes. But when the pair of hares run side by side, who can distinguish whether in fact I am a male or female?
紅土腳撲朔，黐土眼迷離，兩套傍地走，安能辨我是紅痴？
The fact that the title of the poem is based off of a female character shows the respect that women had in this nomadic society. And I'm actually going to link the Ballad of Mulan in the comments. It's about a really short 2-minute read, but it's really interesting for all you Chinese history buffs out there. I personally find this story so fascinating, especially coming from the ancient world where in most cultures, women were inferior to men.
I can do this. I am a dude. I am a hunky dude.
And I mean, I don't want to read between the lines here and not give credit where credit is due, but even in the story from the Northern Wei dynasty, Mulan still had to hide the fact of her true identity to get the work done. It's no secret that for thousands of years in China, most Chinese preferred sons rather than daughters.
China's one-child policy that came into force in 1979 played a large part in bringing down the number of female offspring. For families who had to choose just the one, daughters were not an option, given the general preference for male offspring.
Because the majority of males have more ability to earn more than girls. Men carry on the family name. And in this culture, that is everything. A lot of the older generation in China believe that after a girl is married, they no longer have the responsibility to their parents. And unlike in American culture, I was shocked to find out how much some of my adult Chinese friends have to give their family from each paycheck. In this culture, you are constantly repaying the generation before you. Very similar to the systems that we see set up within folk religion. Now, I don't want to put words in a fictional character's mouth, but maybe because Mulan wasn't married, she still felt responsible for her dad. But either way, Instead of going off to find a spouse and join another family, Mulan wanted to fight for her dynasty and bring her family honor.
She has brought honor to her ancestors, to her family, to her village, and to her country.
I'm never gonna catch my breath.
Say goodbye to those who knew me.
Boys are full in school for cutting gym. This guy's gonna be scared to death. Oh, it doesn't see right through me. Now I really wish that I knew how to swim. Be a man. You must compare and contrast.
Compare and contrast.
Oh, Emily, the story isn't necessarily even religious. Why are we comparing and contrasting it to Christianity? Well, just like in Mulan, she wouldn't have been accepted in society if she would have joined the military, because at the time, it was not a woman's role to be in the military. In the Disney version, we see that Mulan should just do weaving work or different roles that women were accustomed for.
Wait and see when we're through. Boys will gladly go to war for you. With good fortune and a great hairdo, you'll bring honor to us all.
So let's talk about what Christianity has done for women, shall we? I need to preface this by saying that I'm not going to sit here and debate with you whether or not a woman can preach or teach or what her role in the church should be, but instead, I want to encourage our female listeners to not ask, can I do this or that? Let's look at how God has used women and be encouraged by that. In the first century Greek society, during the time frame of the New Testament, we must remember that women, they didn't have rights. They were literally a possession of their fathers, and then later on they would become a possession of their husbands. In this society, they were not allowed to be educated as high as men, or even as slaves for that matter. It said that the proper life for a woman was actually one in seclusion.
Name something, literally anything, and ancient Greek men probably banned women from doing it, watching it, or participating in it. Working? Nuh-uh. Politics? No way. Even just walking around the market? Totally frowned upon.
But Jesus. When the gospel enters the picture, Paul writes in Galatians 3:28, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is no male and female, you are all one in Christ Jesus. Girls, we should be rejoicing in that.
Fine, just go crazy for a little while.
In a world context that did not give women a high place or a real role in society, the gospel did. The church did. So what did women do in the scriptures? There's actually tons of examples. But for the sake of this video and keeping it in the cultural context of the first century, I'm just going to talk about a few New Testament ladies. In Acts 16, at the very start of the church, we have Lydia. Her and her entire household were baptized. She leads a church from her very own home. In Colossians 4:15, we see another home church happening in Nympha's house. She's a woman. Again, in Acts, we have Priscilla, who works alongside her husband Aquila in ministry. But I'm blown away that often when they are mentioned, her name actually comes first in the scriptures. Guys, I know that this is like 2021, but in the first century, this is a big deal. And I have to point out to you that in Acts 18:24, it says, meanwhile, a Jew named Apollos, a native of Alexandria, came to Ephesus. He was a learned man with a thorough knowledge of the scriptures. He had been instructed in the way of the Lord, and he spoke with great fervor and taught about Jesus accurately, though he only knew the baptism of John. And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue. And when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they invited him to their home and explained to him the way of God more adequately. Guys, she explained to Apollos the way of God more adequately. He was a scholar. Chloe is another pretty amazing lady. Even though she is only mentioned once, somehow, some way, she informed Paul of quarrels, and now we have the whole book of 1 Corinthians to thank her for. These ladies, all of them, even though it wasn't the cultural norm of the day, they led, they taught, they served, they interpreted letters. I want to end this by saying, ladies, the gospel is not man's work. We have a place, we have a role, and like Mulan, sometimes we can be used in unexpected ways. I just want to thank you guys so much again for sticking around and for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, to ring that bell, maybe even share this video if you really want to do us a favor. For me in Christianity, As long as we hold the same core truths like those found in the Apostles' Creed and the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, I could work with you. But it's okay for Christians to have differing opinions on smaller subjects. In fact, I love it when we do. We get to learn from each other. Let me know your thoughts on women's role in ministry. I know that in Taiwan, it is very different than a lot of the views from Western cultures. So yeah, let's have a chat in the comments below. Remember, we release a new video every Wednesday on Pilgrimage Films, and we're excited to share more with you soon. 再见!
Compare and contrast.
That's the melody for compare and
Yeah,
contrast?
be a man. Be a man.